All right, UFC 260 has come and gone. Miocic is versus Ngannou. We've a new heavyweight champion, the third African champion, 170. You have Kamaru Usman, 185. You have Israel Adesanya. And now for the heavyweights, you have Francis Ngannou. We'll jump into it with that first fight. Yeah, that guy's terrifying, is what was known and definitely confirmed.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we talked about him before, and I think both of us were convinced that the chance of what happened was going to happen. Like, it was really high that, he would knock Stipe out. I think I was kind of surprised in how quick it happened, because Stipe has fought him before. He showed that he's had a chin, that he can take it, but I don't know what happened there, man. I mean, I guess Francis's training is what really I think it surprised Stipe, honestly, because it surprised me.
I think it surprised a lot of people. Yeah,
that takedown defense was fantastic, dude. The way he spread out immediately, and then the way he positioned to take Stipe's back and just started wailing on the back of his head. Just brilliant, man. Brilliant grappling technique. And
he looked fluid. He looked fluid when he had Stipe on the ground. Because I think they were saying he's been like practicing his wrestling every day. He had Usman in his corner yesterday. I don't think it was with Usman that he was training it every day. And maybe they've worked to an extent together too. I don't recall, but his coaches were saying he's been working on it. And, it's one thing to say he's been working on it. You ultimately have to see it in practice when it comes. And it's not like he was heavily tested on the ground, but when it did get to the ground, you could see a stark contrast of the first time they fought. The first time, Francis was on his back the whole, like he was just getting taken down at will by Stipe, which was bizarre to see a man of that stature just getting taken down and taken down and taken down. And he would get up and he was completely gassed out. And something that Cormier was saying during his he was doing like a press conference before the event started, and he was saying, we were discussing with the other analysts, over under, is this fight going to go a round and a half? And I think what he said here is correct. He said, but in picking that and picking your response to that, you're picking the outcome of the fight. Essentially, if you're saying it's going over, the longer it goes, it's probably going to favor Stipe. Not that if it got to round 2 or 3, Francis can't go, but if the longer it goes, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, if this goes longer, I would expect Stipe's odds of winning just skyrocket. But then if it's done within a round and a half, I can't imagine it's because Stipe knocked him out. It's probably because Stipe got knocked out. And that's what we saw round 2 early. He got it. I mean, still props to Stipe in terms of, like you said, regarding the chin. So 36 significant strikes, 28 to the head, and 28 legitimate significant shots to the head. They weren't any joke, man. The fact that he even lasted as long as it did was nuts. And a little bit worrying. I was like, I don't know how this guy's still alive. And then ultimately you saw he just got put to sleep.
Yeah, no, it was crazy to watch, man, because there was a moment there, and I think Stipe had really messed up because he thought he did contact with Francis, right. I don't remember if it was
right before the knockout, right? Yeah.
But I don't know why he thought that was the moment to commit, because he was wobbly on his feet.
I think that's why he got wobbly and didn't even know.
If he had given himself a moment to just kind of step back, catch his breath a little bit, it may have been able to stretch a little bit longer. But I don't know. I feel like it was already done. The minute that Francis was able to take his back, get those hits on the back of his head, I think that's what rocked Stipe at that point. And there was no recovery from that, because can you imagine somebody like Francis Ngannou just bashing on the back of your head? For
absolutely not.
You're done.
That's the thing. When that happened in the first round, I was like, "Oh crap! It might be done right now." And I was hoping they weren't going to stop it, because granted, those were heavy shots, but Stipe was still. You could still see that he was not. He was there. It's not like he was like, "Oh my gosh!" So he kind of got up, kind of got through it. But in watching that fight, I was wondering, after the first round ended, well, as the first round was occurring, I should say, Stipe didn't do anything. He threw 13 strikes. So as I'm watching it, I was thinking it looks like he's just trying to wait him out. See what kind of Francis are we going to get, the same guy that just kind of throws his hands like crazy, and then if he connects, he connects, and Stipe's like, well, I'll make sure he doesn't. So I'll just kind of see if he exhausts himself. And again, he threw shots and they were heavy shots. Now I'm talking about Francis, but he wasn't like wild. Like some of his other fights, if you see, just look at his last fight against Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
Like when he got him, he killed him. But if you look at the lead up to him getting it, he was hitting his chest, he's hitting his shoulder, he's just kind of wailing. And then finally he gets him a couple times connected and puts him to sleep. And that's really all he needs. But it's still kind of not as refined. Whereas this time was much more methodical. He was more crisp. They asked him after, he alluded to he confirmed that his patience is at a different place now. He looks more like an actual well-rounded fighter, which is terrifying because he was already super scary before. Because that's what I was thinking to myself coming in. I'm like, look, man, if he's still going to be the same guy where he's just a striker and like a scary one, but it's more like I'm going to throw everything and if I hit you, you're dead. That was like, I don't know if that's the Francis we see. I still like Stipe taking it, but that is not the Francis we saw, and that's what we did see, that Stipe did not take it. And I don't know if they're going to afford him a rematch. I don't know if it's going to be John Jones, whoever the hell it is. It doesn't even matter if it is John Jones. If this is the version we're going to be seeing of this guy going forward, and he's probably going to get better from here, you would assume. I don't know who's going to take him for some time.
I mean, I think this is the version you're going to see. And like you were saying, he looked really, really sharp. He looked like all of that past experience was just developed into this technique. He was super cold, super calculative. What I'd like to know is, okay, can he go the distance? Can he go 5 rounds? Because no matter how sharp he looked, we don't really have a gauge yet. If somebody were to give him the run for his money and take him into, let's say, 5 rounds, would he have that same caliber of sharpness that we saw yesterday? And I think that if he continues training the way he's been training, I think that it's a guarantee. The guy's just going to have to stay conditioned, just keep up with whatever you're doing. It's correct because you looked amazing, dude. So, and as far as who he fights, I mean, the John Jones thing has been getting hyped up a lot, man. That was hyped up for months, even before. Even before this fight. I don't see John Jones beating him. Like,
no,
I just don't see it, dude. It's
not this version of John Jones of the last few fights. If this was like the John Jones of before that fought how he fought before and that version beefed up, sure. But given that this is the John Jones that just barely beat Dominic Reyes, who I thought Reyes actually won that fight 3-2 versus what the actual result was. I'm like, if you struggled to get through Reyes, I don't know how you're going to beat Francis Ngannou.
We gotta take him on a skiing trip the night before.
Yeah. Seriously, that is what it's probably going to take for that guy, man. And it might not. It looks like it's a possibility of 3 people. It'll either be John, and that's John wants more money. John wants money. I think John always wants money. So let's assume they don't give him whatever he wants. So John's out. Are they going to look at a Stipe rematch? They might consider it. Frankly, let's see what Stipe is even saying. Like, I don't know. He's not young. I think he's like 37, 38. He's in his late 30s, so he might not want to fight anymore, especially after that. Just like, do you really want to get into a ring 3rd time with this animal? Like, it's already crazy to me. He did it twice. So I don't know if you want to do it another time. And then if not those 2, I saw Derek Lewis also mentioned too, which would be exciting, but dude, Derek Lewis is not going to be able to handle Francis. No,
I don't think so either. I mean, didn't Ngannou beat Lewis?
No. So Lewis won that fight. Now, so this was one of the most bizarre fights I've watched. So this was July 7th, 2018, the first time they fought. It went 3 rounds. It went to decision, and it was a tap dancing concert for 15 minutes. You got a co-main event of 2 large men tap dancing. They did not do anything. It was bizarre. This was, I think Francis was, it was Francis's next fight after he had already lost to Stipe. And, you could, I think, tell watching that this guy was got gun shy. But then Derek Lewis, when Lewis was on Rogan the other day, this fight got brought up and Derek Lewis was like, dude, my back was killing me. I was not in the shape to be there. And neither guy looked like they wanted to be there or belonged there. Would I expect that to happen again? Definitely not. So given that, Lewis won, but it's not because like he handled him or anything. It's just because like he had a slightly higher output. Like, neither of them did anything. So now we're not going to see that version of Francis. I mean, this guy has all the confidence in the world now. He's, what is he, 5-fight winning streak now, and all of them in the first round, I think. Granted, Derek Lewis is also kind of riding high as well. But again, come on, man. Like, there's no way this version of Francis versus the current version of Derek Lewis results in anything besides a Francis Ngannou probably knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anybody. I'm looking at the rankings right now. Nobody on this list.
Who is there? Yeah, no one. It's gonna be either John Jones or Stipe that have realistically the best chance as it stands. Now, maybe there's someone that's a little bit below in the pecking order that can build up to it. That's not there yet. Because the other thing with John is, look, he went up a lot of weight, man. I think he's around 240, 250 now. He added a lot of muscle. So you're going from 205 to 250. Granted, yeah, I'm sure he walks around probably around 230, but like he's adding muscle. So you got to wonder, stamina-wise, this is going to be, it's a 5-round fight. Just to get to 5 rounds, who knows? But is he going to be able to, how's his tank going to be with all this additional weight that he doesn't fight with typically? Not that he doesn't have muscle, but he fights at 205. He's been fighting at 205 for however, a decade. So you're going up to the heavyweight division and you're not like a 230 like a Stipe is. You're 250 pushing close to Francis. So size-wise, they're pretty close. I think John has a 1-inch reach on it. John's 84. Francis is 83. I think John is maybe slightly shorter. Look, it's not like John can't do it, but it's just like, I don't know, man. This version of the Predators, it's scary to wonder, or it's scary to think who can even do something, and I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to point something else out. You brought it up. There was a 30-some pound difference between Stipe and Francis, man. It's kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stipe, his last fight against DC, he also fought pretty lean. He was, I think, about the same weight. If not, maybe he was maybe 225 maybe he was 225 last time, if not about the same. Francis just makes it by 2 pounds at 263. But you look at him and it's not one of those pancake titty 263s. You can't find an ounce of fat on this man. 6'4", 263 as clean as it gets. It's terrifying. And I think they asked Francis after the fight, like, you had that weight advantage that you mentioned. He's like, did you feel it when you were fighting Stipe? Like, did you feel that he was lighter than you? He said no. He's like, he felt strong. So I don't know if he's just being respectful or if he legitimately felt that way. Because you look at Stipe like, Dad, that guy's, it's crazy to me. Like, I look at him, damn, he's 235. He looks lean. He looks like maybe a light heavy. He does not look like a 235 pound guy. Especially, putting him next to Francis in his last 3 fights, putting him next to DC, he looks super lean. So maybe that helps too. But yeah, man, I don't know.
The new octagon is slimming. That's what everybody says, man. The one at the training center.
Well, the thing is, for these two guys, they're going to look even more massive. Because
it's a legitimate point. Because I think it's 30% smaller. So the legitimate point is that, when you're in there, especially with these heavyweight dudes, they just look bigger because the octagon's that much smaller. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have seen those two, just like to stand and watch them move around for a little bit and just be in all like, holy crap, these guys are massive. 6'4", one is 260, one is 230. And this, like you said, I don't know, maybe it is 30%. I know it's smaller. How much smaller? I don't know, but a shrunken thing, and you have these two behemoths in there just circling. And yeah, I wish it would have gone longer, just because I would have liked to see Stipe do something. This is nothing to take away from Francis in this fight. He did as short of a fight it was. He did show that he's more rounded than the previous versions of Francis that we have seen. But Stipe is like, the only thing I can think of is like, maybe he was just waiting to tire him and then go, because Stipe has proven he can go the distance. Francis and Stipe went the distance the first time, but Francis, he looked exhausted. He was on his back the whole time.
I think that's exactly what it was, man. The first round was Stipe trying to see, like, okay, does he have that takedown defense now that everybody's been talking about? How did his latest training sessions, how did they go? How do I need to approach him now that he's allegedly this much of a better fighter, and he's trained and practiced how to defend and practiced how to take down, and he's got a ground game now. So I personally feel like I noticed that calculation happening, some of the guys I was watching with were a little upset. They were screaming at the TV, like, do something. Like, it's the first round in a 5-round, guys. Calm down. Like,
there's that.
If he rushes in, he's going to get, and there it is. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those things where I think he was calculating. It looked like it, and it looked like he kept trying to get a gauge on what he can and can't do. And just, like I said earlier, I think the problem was he didn't expect that takedown defense to go the way that it did. And he definitely didn't expect his back to be taken like that. And
right.
I feel like before any of the knockout punches were thrown, it was that position that Francis took that ended the fight. Because at that point, you got rocked 7-8 times in the back of your head, dude. You're all wobbly. You're done. There's what are you gonna do? This from somebody like that, from somebody like Francis, you're done, dude. Your equilibrium is just gonna be shot after that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. 28 headshots from that guy in a 5-minute, 52-second period. So 28 headshots. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see, because in terms of like what's next, you think about it, like, okay, this is Stipe's like the most decorated heavyweight of the UFC. Does he deserve a rematch based on that alone, his standing alone? Probably. But then I'm also thinking, like, dude, he didn't show anything though on performance, on the performance of this fight to justify. Like, look, man, let's say they got into the third round and they were scrapping and then Francis clipped him. Yeah, you can make more of a case. But again, 5 minutes, 52 seconds of fight time, you threw 13 shots. Again, it's probably because of that, the strategy coming in, but you still lost in that period of time. So I don't think he showed enough. Like, yeah, I think there's better fights to be. The better fight, I would think, would be John Jones. But again, also at the same time, thinking about who the John Jones has been, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, because like I feel like it's another one of those like Edwards things where, okay, you're coming from a different division. I think was he a champ? John?
Who are you talking about?
John Jones.
John Jones was champion, yeah, at light heavyweight.
Okay, so you're coming from another division. You were a champ. Does that mean that you should immediately have a title shot in a new division that you're going to? I don't think so. I think you should at least.
I don't like that either.
Fight, have a fight in that division, and then let's see. So maybe you could fight the first contender or the second contender, and then we could see. All right, does John actually deserve a title shot in this division now? Because you're moving to a different thing. I don't think that justifies that. It
doesn't, but the thing is, the way the star power in the sport is, it carries over like that, unfortunately. Because why else did he move? Well, there's the reason he says he moved up is so he fights for the title, right? A new challenge, whatever he's saying. But also he's wanting more money, heavyweight fighters, prize fighters, trying to get more cash. And the thing is, he's already, I'm sure, flushed with it, as long as he hasn't gone snowing too much. So he can wait this out. Like, I don't think, and I think this happened the last time he was trying to fight too. It was the same situation. He was trying to get a bunch of money, and Dana's like, dude, like, kick rocks. I'm not going to give you that much. So I'll see it, because Dana kind of called him out yesterday too. They were saying, like, is this the fight to make next? Jones versus Francis. And Dana's like, John knows if he makes the call, this fight will be booked. So let John figure out what he wants. John's saying, show me the money, whatever. It's like, John knows that he can call us and we will make this fight happen. So
I heard something like John is looking to come back like a year from now or something like that. So it may not even happen anytime soon. I don't know.
I saw him tweet something that he's like, let Francis fight another guy next. Like, I'm not in a rush. He's like, greatness takes time or something. He said something like cheesy like that. So yeah, he's not in a rush to do it. So if that's the case, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking, so you have Francis, then you have John. John takes his time, fine. Then you have Stipe. Stipe just got shellacked in this one. All right. Then you got Derek Lewis, and I feel like already you went from like Francis up here, now you're down to Derek Lewis here. There's this disparity. It seems like a great disparity between the talent. I mean, Derek Lewis admits this too, man. This guy can't last that long. What if this fight? I mean, granted, that fight probably wouldn't go that long again, like it did the first time, because they were just spinning around. But all right, so if it finishes quick, I highly doubt it's because you're going to knock him out. Not that he doesn't have the power, he does, but I can't visualize him, man. I look at Francis as a human being, the way he looks. I look at Derek Lewis as a human being, the way he looks. I'm like, I can't fathom this animal to the right, being Francis, not that Derek isn't either, but it's like, I just don't see how this like, God-looking person just gets hit by, loses to this, not God-looking person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Still fantastic performance by Francis. Congratulations to him. Hell of a journey to get to where he's at now. Only 6 years of MMA training experience too. Started at 27. It's like he started at a young age. Not that 27 is old, but to start at 27. And I think he's 33 now, and 33 with the journey he had coming from where he did, nice cherry on top for him. And I liked what he said at the end yesterday. They asked him like, "Oh, are you going to sleep with the belt today?" And he looked at the belt. He's like, "This is just a medal." He's like, "This is what I care about is the principle behind this and becoming a champion," which I respect him saying that. But then he's like, "Yeah, I'll sleep with this." But so good for him.